Hey guys, Professor Troll here again. Today I'm going to be serving you up a Sigilif GX deck. I ran this in a tournament about a week ago, and I think I did pretty good. I mean, it's a troll deck again, so you can't really shoot for first, but you can have fun and annoy people. I got 3-2, so 1-3, lost 2, but I think it was pretty good. And the only two matches I lost were against Gardevoir GX. So it kind of makes sense, but let's show you off this deck. So again, the main attacker here is Sigilif GX. Let's get that a little closer. Probably can't read that too well. My camera sucks. I'm sorry, guys. So the ability is Mirror Counter. If this Pokemon is your active Pokemon and is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon GX or EX, even if it would be knocked out, put damage counters on the attacking Pokemon equal to the damage done to this Pokemon. So if your opponent is playing Gardevoir and they overextend on their Gardevoir, they can wind up knocking themselves out for a double knockout. So the idea with this deck is either to, in my words, win ironically or force a draw if you can. So it's not too terrible of a card as far as attacks go. One cycle to DCE, Sonic Wings does 80, and it's not affected by resistance, so that's good. And then the GX attack for, again, a Psychic and a DCE is 60 damage times the number of energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. So yeah, Intercept GX is a pretty good attack, especially going against Gardevoir. So we run 4 of these. And then I run, as a preferred starter for this deck, 4 of the Lost Thunder Sableye. It's got Quick Hunt for 1 colorless. If you go first, you can use this attack on your first turn, and you can search your deck for any card you want and put it in your hand. And then Curse Drop, which is the I guess the attack in this thing, is put 3 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon any way you like. So it doesn't all have to go on the active or all on one Pokemon. But it's a quick way to like just deal a little bit of damage here and there, and it's placing counters, not dealing damage. So it goes around anything that's like, oh, prevent damage. Well, I'm not dealing damage, I'm placing counters. So it's a little cheeky, but so I run 4 of the Lost Thunder Sableye. And then just for a couple more added cheeky cards, I run Mr. Mime GX with Magic Evens. So Magic Evens says that if it would be dealt damage from an attack that deals 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, 160, 180, 200, 220, 240, or 260, it doesn't deal any damage at all. So you have to hit an odd number, or you have to hit 280, which Gardevoir can do because its attack is by 30s. So that's a bit of a hiccup. Its attack for 1 Psychic and 1 colorless Breakdown. For each card in your opponent's hand, put 1 damage counter on their active Pokemon. So if you play a card like an expanded, I guess would be In, or Judge for standard, you can guarantee certain amounts of damage, but unless you're going up against Granbull, your opponent's probably going to have a decent sized hand. I wouldn't say like, 8-9 cards, but good enough. And then Life Trick GX for 1 colorless just heals all the damage from this Pokemon. So it's like, oh, you almost got me, and then you just heal everything up. So that's Mr. Mime GX. I run 2 of those. And then I run 1 Giratina from Lost Thunder for the ability Distortion Door. Once during your turn, before you attack, if this Pokemon is in your discard pile, you may put it on your bench, and if you do, place 1 damage counter on 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So basically you just say, oh, that's in my discard, well, I'm going to put it on my bench, and these 2 Pokemon back here are going to have a damage counter on them. You don't really attack with this Pokemon, because putting damage counters on your own Pokemon in this deck isn't really a good idea. So you don't bother with Shadow Impact. Plus building it up just takes way too long. So you mostly use it for Distortion Door. It's mostly like, oh, I only need like 10 more damage here and that'll be a knockout. So that's why I only run 1 of these. And that's the Pokemon lineup. Then we'll go on to supporters. Like usual, we run 4 Cynthia. and 4 Guzma. Those are always going to be staple cards, at least until rotation. I run 3 copies of Morty. I run Morty in this deck because if you're going to have knockouts, your opponent is going to take knockouts. So when they do, you can play this card and disrupt their hand a bit. So they reveal their hand, so you get an idea of what they're playing or what's their setup going to be, and then you get to choose 2 cards you find there and shuffle them back into their deck. So you can, if you're playing like Rayquaza, for example, and they take an early knockout on Sableye, you just turn around and play Morty and send those rare candies and Vikavolt back to their deck so they can't build Rayquaza up. They're playing Gardevoir in the same concept, early knockout. Then you can just, again, send the rare candies and possibly Gardevoirs or DCs and Fairy Energy back to their deck. So it's a little cheeky, but I really enjoy the combos you can make with this. I run 3 copies of Acerola. Acerola is in here for Sigilyph GX mostly, because if it doesn't kill Sigilyph GX, you don't want it to die from spread damage on the bench. So you'll Acerola it back up and then just turn around and play it right back down. And this way you don't lose your energy and your opponent still takes damage because they're attacking it. 2 copies of Lusamine. This is just kind of a staple for me personally. I enjoy having the ability to get the supporters I need back, or in certain decks, the stadiums I need back. And 2 copies of Lily, which is also, again, a kind of standard for me. Getting into open hand is great, but even late game it can still be useful. And that's the supporter lineup, so on to the items. I run 4 copies of Spell Tag. I don't use Choice Band in this deck, because you really don't need it. If you're going against heavy GXs, you just use Sigilyph, so they're damaging themselves good enough. Spell Tag is in here for cards like Sableye, and you can put it on Sigilyph GX too. So whenever a Psychic Pokemon with this card is attached to it is knocked out from damage from an opponent's attack, it's damage, not an ability. Excuse me. So Decidueye's ability would go through Spell Tag because it's not damage. Oh no, it is damage. I'm sorry. Sableye's attack would go through Spell Tag because it's not damage, it's placing counters. Anyways, so when a Psychic Pokemon is knocked out with this card attached, you get to put 4 damage counters anywhere you want on your opponent's side of the field. So yeah, they took an attack, but you're weakening their bench left and right. So it's pretty fun damage spread. So this way, if you do take a knockout, they're going to have to pull something up that's already got a little bit of damage on it. And then I run 3 max potions. I run 3 max potions in here for Sigilyph and Mr. Mime. Mostly for Sigilyph though. So I can attack with Sigilyph, and I do attack with Sigilyph as a main attacker. But there are going to be times where it's like, oh, he's almost dead, but I can't really risk the knockout. So I play 3 max potions in here to go ahead and heal up all the damage and let him stick around a little bit more, possibly letting my opponent knock himself out. Or change the game plan for them. With a little bit of deck thing, we got some 3 Mysterious Treasures. Discard a card from your hand, search your deck for a Psychic or a Dragon Pokemon. Clearly you're only going to be searching for Psychic Pokemon in this deck. It can catch any Psychic Pokemon you need, and it goes to your hand and not the bench. 3 copies of Nest Ball. This is more for early game, sending it straight to your bench. I usually fetch a Sigilyph with this, but I have fetched Mr. Mime before, or Sableye. Okay. I run 1 copy of Friend Ball. I run Friend Ball specifically because Malamar is still very popular. So I can search my deck for any Pokemon the same type as an opponent's Pokemon and reveal it and put it in my hand. Malamar and most decks are still playing Tapu Lele. Excuse me. So even if you're not going against or opposing psychic deck, if they pop a Lele in play, you get to search your deck. 2 copies of Field Blower. This is mostly for Shrine of Punishment and Choice Band. Even though with Choice Band attached, hitting Sigilyph hurts them just as much. Unless they're a non-GX, so yeah, Choice Band. 1 copy of Pal Pad. I almost always have 1 copy of Pal Pad in my deck. Because, hey, you may need those Guzmas you needed to use earlier, or, you know, that Cynthia'd come in handy later, you know, some stuff like that. So, 1 copy of Pal Pad. And then I run 2 copies of Po-Town. So, every Pokemon in this deck is a basic, so you don't have to worry about hitting yourself. But Po-Town makes it to where when your opponent evolves, they take 3 damage. And this does include evolving by rare candy. So, it really helps out going against decks like Gardevoir and even Rayquaza a little bit, because they're damaging their Vikavolt in the background. So they're kind of giving you a little bit of a help there. So when you're not evolving but your opponent has to, it really comes in handy. It also hits Magcargo, so that'll drop it down to from 90 to 60 immediately. It puts in a little bit more range for Sableye Curse Drop and Spell Tag combo. And then we go to energies with 4 double colorless, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 psychic energy. So I run 12 energy in this deck. To me, 12 is kind of a standard amount, just because I've had trouble before finding energy, and I don't want to stock the deck up with a bunch of energy search, because the energy search options for standard right now are crap. Like, we have Energy Lotto, and that's about it. But this is my Sableye GX deck. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Comment, like the video, share. If you want to subscribe, go right ahead. And I will see you guys next week with a different deck profile. So have fun and go troll.